Disclaimer, if you are a PS5 owner and you are satisfied with your product, you are happy with it, that's great. Power to you. Don't take this personally. This isn't about you. This is between me and him. Okay? That's between me and you. About a year ago, I made a video criticizing the PlayStation 5. I explained why this console felt like a letdown in numerous categories, which just made it hard to justify buying. But like I said, that was a whole year ago, and it's been nearly 5 years since the PlayStation 5 initially came out. Has anything improved? My biggest irritation with the PlayStation 5 is its complete lack of any kind of identity. It has barely any exclusive games, no defining moments, and nothing that really feels next gen. It's been 5 years, and the only game that kind of feels like it wouldn't be possible on a PlayStation 4 is Death Stranding 2. Which is being generous. Kojima carrying as usual. Death Stranding 1 was one of the prettiest games on the PlayStation 4, and it's kind of a miracle that Metal Gear 5 even worked on a PlayStation 3. Other than that, the PlayStation 5 just hasn't had a wow moment. Games like Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4, The Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, these are games that just couldn't work on a PlayStation 3. That, and combined with the fact that they were exclusive, meant that you just had to get a PS4 if you wanted to experience them. When you bought a PlayStation 4, your purchase was validated by the great games that you could only get on that system. When I was 14, I was really struggling to choose between the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. All my friends at school had an Xbox One, but the PlayStation 4 just had so many great exclusive games. And damn it, at the end of the day, I chose those games over my friends because they were just that good. And that was back when crossplay between Xbox and PlayStation was taboo. It was unheard of. So you know I was serious in making that decision. Exclusive games are naturally a pretty divisive topic. They once served as a promise to consumers that the console ecosystem they bought into was better than the others. If you bought a GameCube, you got Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Pikmin, Kirby, and Smash Bros. If you bought a PS2, you got Sly Cooper, God of War, Gran Turismo, Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter. You bought a video game console for the video games it had available. And so, keeping all your best IPs on your system was a really good way to reward players for choosing your console. Of course, some people would argue it's closer to blackmail. I digress. Ever since the 9th generation of consoles came around, exclusive games just aren't really so important anymore. First-party Sony games might debut as PlayStation 5 exclusives, but we all know they're going to be on Steam in 6 months or so. Xbox titles have come to PC at launch ever since the Xbox One came out, but they almost never went to PlayStation. But recently, games like Sea of Thieves and Forza Horizon 5 have both come to the PlayStation 5. Which is a pretty big deal. Back when Forza Horizon 5 first came out, I was big into racing games and car collecting, so I had major FOMO with my PS4 and shitty PC. I mean, I almost went out and bought a second-hand Xbox just to play Forza Horizon 5. That's the power of exclusives. Nintendo keeps their games very exclusive because they know their IPs are their most valuable assets. Without Mario and Pokemon, Nintendo's value would be cut in half, if not more. Aside from Nintendo, the slow death of exclusive games feels like it was inevitable. They've always been a pretty hot button argument. Some people strongly believe they are the essence of console gaming, while others think it's killing games and is horrible for consumers. From a business standpoint, selling your product to a wider audience obviously results in more profit. Releasing your game to Steam alone exposes your product to hundreds of millions of untapped potential customers. From a consumer standpoint, it's pretty great that I can save some cash and just play these games on my PC. Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade. These are all PS5 games that have come to Steam. I can play every single one of these games legitimately without ever touching a PS5 controller. I would really like to play Death Stranding 2. I really enjoyed the first game, but I'm not going to go out and buy a PS5 for it. I know it'll come to Steam soon enough, and it's going to be cheaper there anyway. As a PlayStation fan, I really do feel conflicted. On one hand, it's great that I'm not forced to buy the overpriced box to play the newest Sony releases, but on the other hand, what will the legacy of the PlayStation 5 be in 10 years from now? When I name a console, you think of the games that were system sellers back in their day. What is the Wii without Wii Sports? Mario Galaxy, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Skyward Sword. What is the PlayStation 1 without Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, Spyro the Dragon, or Gran Turismo? What is the Xbox 360 without Halo 3, Fable 2, Forza Horizon, Kinect Star Wars? The Wii U was a failure by every stretch of the definition. It was a disaster. Terrible. But even still, the Wii U has a solid identity. Nintendo Land, Mario 3D World, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Bayonetta 2, Splatoon, Mario Maker. Even if these games had better versions on the Switch later down the line, they still gave the Wii U an identity for its time. In 10 years from now, what will we think of the PlayStation 5? It just feels skippable, forgettable, and not really impactful. This isn't entirely Sony's fault either. The state of the game industry is in a really, really bizarre place right now. I love watching live events like Summer Games Fest or Sony State of Play streams. Maybe 20% of my enjoyment comes from the actual announcements themselves, and 80% of it is laughing at the chat complaining about every single announcement that gets made. It's pretty funny. And you can't really blame these people. It's really hard to get excited about these games because there's just so much uninspired crap. Countless remasters of games that really don't need it, and sequels to games that no one asked for, and CGI trailers for a game that won't get released in like 6 years minimum. Sony definitely has the power to fund games that could change this, but it's an industry-wide issue. It's tied to extended development times, bloated budgets, and out-of-touch corporate decisions. So, it's been a year, and it's time to ask the age-old question, once again. Does the PS5 truly have no games?
There's no games!
Last time I checked the list of exclusive PS5 games, I removed unreleased games, remakes and remasters, VR titles, and games that flopped. After that, the PS5 only had 4 full-length exclusive games, 3 of which I predicted would come to Steam within a year. Looking at this list a year later and removing all the same fluff, the PS5 only has 2 full-length exclusive games. My prediction was correct. 3 of those games did come to Steam within that time, and I am so certain that Death Stranding 2 is going to get the same treatment eventually. So yeah, in terms of exclusives, the PS5 has just about no games. More than ever. But like I said earlier, that's just not what Sony is even going for anymore. It's so obvious that exclusives are just not a priority for this console. The PlayStation 5 is just the easiest option to play the newest Sony and multi-platform games. That's kind of what Microsoft has been going for ever since the Xbox One came out. And since Xbox games are going to PS5, I don't know where that leaves them. I guess we'll have to just wait and see. But really, what drives me to fixate on PS5 exclusives so much is the price of this thing. The PlayStation 5 is not cheap, no matter where you live. But it is especially true if you don't live in a major region, like the US, EU, or Japan. In case you couldn't tell, I am South African, and our console prices have just gone completely out of control since 2020. The cheapest, most basic PS5 down here is going to cost you $750 USD, all the way up to the PS5 Pro, which is going to cost you over 1,100 USD. It's absolutely crazy. And when you take our cost of living and average income into account, you quickly realize this is just too much for most people. That's like 2 months rent. And so if someone like me wanted to make such a big purchase, I really need it to be worthwhile. Our console prices might be way out of whack down here, but our PC components are not. My computer has very similar specs to a PlayStation 5, and it was a lot cheaper to build. Not to mention that Steam has regional pricing and no subscription services, which makes PC even more affordable in the long run. Basically, I already have a perfectly capable computer. I can already play all the PS5 games that have come to PC so far. There is very little reason for someone like me to go out and buy this console, so the fact that I'm expected to pay almost 2 months of rent on it just makes it all the more frustrating. It's like if someone tried to sell me a car, just like the one I already have, for double the price. Why would I go do that? I think it's interesting how, as time goes on, PC has become the most affordable way to get into gamings for most third world adjacent countries. Console companies use predatory monetization practices to squeeze as much money as they can out of their user base, which just isn't really possible on PC. there's always a way to work around it. A computer is also just significantly more useful than any game console. I don't know how I would edit videos on a PlayStation 5. Maybe on Dreams, I don't know. I don't even want to try that. If you own a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series console and you find value in it, then power to you. I mean, I can't play my PC games in the living room, you know what I mean? And low-key, I am jealous because I'm gonna need one if I want to play GTA 6 anytime soon. But if you're in the market for a new console, especially if you live in a region where it costs a month's rent, then take some time to look into PC building. It is genuinely so lame to be that guy who just tells you to build a PC. But 2025 is a great time to do so. Buying components individually is a lot cheaper, and putting them together is way easier than you think. If you can build a Lego set, you could probably build a PC. Anyways, thanks for listening to me complain about a console that I don't own. You see, I'm actually just jealous, so all my criticisms are invalid. If you haven't seen my video on the topic from last year, do check it out. Thank you for watching. Cheers, I appreciate you.
Anything is possible. Everything is possible. Any obstacle is just a little obstacle. Just get over that.
Operator, can you pick that phone?
Pheromone, what the hell going on?
Operator,
Say something like, I really want to kiss you right now. Is that okay?
I really want to kiss right now. Is that okay?
No.
Boy, if you don't get your doodle stain head on, boy.
Please, aliens, take away the white motherfuckers with dreads. Ciao.